In a world where intentions carry weight and every decision sets something into motion, the consequences of our actions are often more aligned than we realize. Those who once created obstacles for others may find themselves navigating the aftermath of their own choices. The universe, though silent, keeps record, responding not always in immediacy, but with precision and balance. For many who have tried to diminish others, especially individuals with vision and clarity, there comes a moment of realization that their resistance did not prevent success but rather enabled it. Today, we take a closer look at how clarity, truth, and internal conviction persist despite rejection, and how time has a way of revealing who was aligned with purpose all along. Every action taken against someone walking in purpose is a gamble. Many believe they are halting progress by casting doubt, yet in doing so, they often serve as unintentional accelerators. The very weight of their opposition becomes the pressure that fortifies resilience. For those who walk in vision, the journey is rarely met with immediate acceptance. Often, these individuals are met with resistance, not because their insights are inaccurate, but because they arrive too early. When someone speaks a truth before others are ready to hear it, the message feels disruptive. Comfort is threatened. And so the instinctive reaction is to discredit the voice rather than evaluate the content. Yet over time, outcomes provide their own evidence. Those once dismissed eventually become reference points. Their clarity, once viewed as radical, proves to be foresight. In these moments, it becomes clear, their vision was never the problem. The timing simply outpaced popular understanding. Those who carry clarity must often stand alone before others are ready to see what they see. This solitude is not born out of error, but out of accuracy. To witness what others are not prepared to accept requires strength. It's one of the quiet burdens of insight, knowing you are right, and watching others ignore the warning signs. This scenario is not rare. Innovators, leaders, and those with spiritual discernment frequently experience this pattern. They see the storm before it arrives. They offer caution. They speak out. But rather than being praised for their insight, they are often met with ridicule, skepticism, or isolation. These responses are not reactions to the messenger, but to the discomfort of the message. It is easier for many to dismiss what they don't understand than to entertain the possibility that change is needed. Thus, when someone disrupts long-standing beliefs or introduces a new lens, they are seen as the problem, not the solution. Eventually, the reality once denied begins to manifest. The consequences of ignoring sound advice become too difficult to overlook. And in these moments, those who once dismissed the visionary begin to reflect. But for the one who carried the message all along, this is not a moment of satisfaction, it's one of quiet confirmation. Their words, once laughed at, are now revisited with new respect. However, the fulfillment doesn't lie in being right, it lies in having endured the period of disbelief without wavering. For those who rejected them, the regret can be significant. Not because the truth was unavailable, but because it was offered freely and they chose not to receive it. In hindsight, the wisdom they mocked is now the very insight they seek. Yet, the delay in acceptance has created distance not easily reconciled. Many resist not because they can't understand, but because they don't want to. To accept a deeper truth often means to confront personal blind spots. It requires dismantling false narratives that may have formed the foundation of one's identity. Accepting wisdom forces change. And for many, the fear of that transformation is more daunting than remaining in ignorance. As a result, they choose to silence the truth and dismiss those who bring it. These are not passive decisions. They are calculated efforts to preserve comfort. It is easier to label someone wrong than to entertain the idea that their perspective might demand personal accountability. And when the truth finally reveals itself, the regret isn't just over missed insight, it's over missed transformation. The opportunity to grow with the guidance of the one they rejected is gone. And so is the chance to share in that person's evolving journey. When regret sets in, it often brings with it an apology. But not all apologies are created equal. In many cases, people apologize not out of genuine understanding, but out of a desire to alleviate their own guilt. Their words may sound sincere, but the intent is self-serving. They want peace, not for the one they wronged, but for themselves. They wish to move forward without acknowledging the full extent of their actions. This dynamic is important to understand. For those who have endured rejection, mockery, or betrayal, hearing an apology can feel complicated. It is not always healing. Sometimes, it reopens old wounds. Because while the other person may be just realizing the truth, the one who lived it has already spent years rebuilding in silence. And so, while the apology may be accepted, the relationship often cannot return to what it once was. The emotional distance created during the period of disbelief is not easily reversed. Part of growth is recognizing that not everyone deserves a second chance. Some people come back not because they value you now, but because they finally realize what they lost. They underestimated your value. And now, seeing your strength, they want proximity, not because they've changed, but because your presence affirms something they're now lacking. But wisdom demands boundaries. Just because someone regrets how they treated you doesn't mean they should be allowed back into your life. Your evolution is a result of your resilience, your commitment to truth, and your ability to stand alone when necessary. Those who could not walk with you then may not be ready to walk with you now. People often seek understanding only after consequences have forced their hand. The wisdom that was once free is now costly. They ignored it when it required belief. Now they seek it only after seeing its outcomes. But wisdom offered in advance is different from wisdom sought in crisis. One comes from foresight. The other is born from desperation. In such cases, it's crucial to remain grounded. You are not obligated to become a savior for those who refuse to listen when it mattered. Your insight was a gift, one they chose to discard. Now they must face what they avoided, the reality that your clarity was never the problem. It was their unwillingness to receive it. It's easy to offer support once success is visible. But those who stood with you before the results, those are the ones who truly saw you. Not everyone who supports you now deserves a seat at your table. Many are responding to the fruit of your journey, not the root. They didn't water your growth. They simply want to share in your harvest. That's why it's important to discern between genuine support and opportunism. The people who believed when there was no evidence are the ones who should continue forward with you. Their belief wasn't based on outcome, it was based on vision. And vision is what sustains momentum, not validation. There's a unique challenge in seeing the future before others do. It isolates. It stretches. It demands that you trust yourself when others don't. Many who carry this kind of foresight experience it as a burden before it's recognized as a strength. Being correct before others are ready often results in rejection, not celebration. But as time passes, those who held the vision first become the anchors for those who arrive later. And while recognition may come, it's often delayed. But the true reward lies not in being validated, but in being steadfast. Standing firm in your truth when no one else sees it is what defines integrity. It is the mark of one who is not swayed by applause or deterred by silence. It becomes clear that wisdom, clarity, and foresight often come with isolation. But this separation is not punishment, it is preparation. It is the forging ground for individuals who are called to move ahead of the crowd. They are not meant to be understood by everyone. Their journey requires solitude, not because they are wrong, but because they are early. And in time, what was once mocked becomes respected. What was once doubted becomes evident. For individuals who spent years holding a vision that others ignored, the eventual shift in perception can be emotionally complex. The same people who once laughed now listen. The same people who once walked away now attempt to come closer. But recognition, though validating, is not equivalent to reparation. The years spent in isolation, the internal battles, the self-doubt, the quiet strength, those experiences shape the person into someone entirely different. Recognition does not restore those years. It does not heal the wounds, nor does it erase the silence. This is why it is important not to confuse reconciliation with restoration. Some relationships are not meant to return to what they were. The journey changed everything, and with that, the terms of engagement must also evolve. There's often a temptation to accept people back after they finally acknowledge your truth. But caution is essential. Some individuals return not because they respect your journey, but because they want to benefit from where you've arrived. Allowing these people back into your space can lead to emotional dissonance. The same voices that once silenced your instincts may still carry the same energy. They might wear new words, speak with gentler tones, or express visible regret, but unless their core beliefs have transformed, the outcome will likely repeat. The work of discernment involves distinguishing between regret and genuine growth. Regret is reactive, it emerges when consequences arise. Growth is proactive, it begins long before the evidence appears. Some people begin to adapt their language to reflect truths they once rejected. They use familiar terms, echo your insights, and attempt to align with your narrative. But this adaptation is often superficial. It is mimicry without mastery. True learning transforms the way someone thinks. It leads to new patterns of behavior, new levels of accountability, and deeper emotional awareness. If the person who once dismissed you now uses your language but shows no change in how they treat people or make decisions, then their learning is incomplete. For those who carried wisdom before it was accepted, this distinction is key. The goal isn't to gain followers, it's to protect integrity. And that means not mistaking imitation for transformation. When the tables turn and former skeptics begin to admire the person they once rejected, boundaries become more important than ever. The newfound interest of others can be flattering, but it can also be invasive. Just because someone recognizes your value now doesn't mean they're entitled to access it. Emotional boundaries ensure that you continue to honor the journey that shaped you. It allows you to protect the lessons you learned in solitude and to share your insight intentionally, not out of obligation, but out of discernment. Saying no to someone who finally sees your worth is not bitterness. It's wisdom. You don't owe access to those who once mishandled your presence. Forgiveness is possible, but it doesn't require re-entry. As societal perceptions shift and your message gains traction, some people may attempt to rewrite their role in your story. This is not uncommon. People may claim they supported you all along or suggest that their skepticism was justified caution. These narratives are often motivated by ego protection, not truth. When public opinion shifts, people attempt to reposition themselves so they don't appear to have been on the wrong side of history. This is another reason why discernment is critical. Real support doesn't need revision. It is clear, consistent, and often quiet. Those who need to convince others they were always on your side likely weren't. Their record should speak for itself, and if it doesn't, that's all the clarity you need. Many visionaries fall into the trap of waiting for recognition. They believe that once their ideas are proven right, they will receive the respect they deserve. But that moment rarely arrives in the way they imagine. Public opinion is often slow to catch up. And when it does, the attention it brings is inconsistent and, at times, superficial. What's more important is internal validation, the ability to stand firm in your beliefs regardless of how they are received. This mindset frees the individual from the emotional roller coaster of external approval. It centers them in purpose, not popularity. And it ensures that they continue to move forward even when applause is absent. Those who carry vision are not just thinkers, they are leaders. But leadership, especially in its early stages, is lonely. It involves holding a perspective that others haven't yet adopted and being willing to stand by it in the face of doubt. But staying ahead is not about superiority, it's about responsibility. If your insight has allowed you to avoid pitfalls, to make decisions that others only understand in hindsight, then your responsibility is to keep moving forward. Do not slow down to wait for others to catch up. Your role is not to be understood, it is to lead. And true leadership requires consistency. Not in being liked, but in being aligned with truth. One of the most difficult realizations for people who walk in clarity is this: some relationships are temporary for a reason. They are part of a season, not your entire story. Holding on to them out of sentimentality or guilt can hinder your progress. When people come back out of regret, it's important to ask, are they returning to grow, or are they returning to escape the consequences of their decisions? If it's the latter, restoration is not only unwise, it's unsafe. Your emotional space must remain protected. And sometimes that protection means honoring the distance that life created. Not all endings are failures. Some are necessary for the beginning of something greater. Being rejected by people you trusted can make you doubt your own intuition. For those who carried vision but were dismissed, it's common to internalize the criticism and question your worth. But as time proves your insights correct, it becomes important to reclaim your confidence. Not in arrogance, but in truth. The same voice that guided you before still exists. It wasn't wrong. It was early. Learning to trust yourself again is one of the most powerful forms of healing. It allows you to rebuild from within, not based on others' opinions, but on your own integrity. And with that trust restored, you are no longer vulnerable to the shifting tides of external acceptance. It's natural to feel anger when people who dismissed you now seek your guidance. But harboring bitterness only drains the energy needed for your next steps. Moving forward doesn't mean pretending the past didn't hurt. It means acknowledging it fully, learning from it, and choosing not to carry the weight of resentment. You don't need revenge. Your success is the evidence. And those who truly grow will respect your boundaries, acknowledge their past behavior, and support you without expectation. The rest? Let them observe. Let them reflect. Their journey is no longer your responsibility. The story of carrying vision before it is understood is not uncommon. History is filled with people who were mocked for their foresight and later celebrated for the same. But the lesson is always the same: clarity is costly. It demands solitude, discipline, and the ability to remain anchored in truth. But for those who hold it, it is also empowering. It grants a deeper understanding of the world and a greater sense of purpose. And though the journey may begin in silence, it always ends in strength. In the final message, we will offer a concluding summary of these insights and a call to action for those who resonate with this journey. Stay with us as we close with a message designed not just to affirm your experience, but to prepare you for the next phase of your rise. As we reach the conclusion of this message, one truth rises above all others. Your journey as a visionary, as someone who carried insight ahead of its time, was never a mistake. It was necessary. It shaped you, refined you, and revealed who truly saw you before the world caught up. What you've experienced, the rejection, the doubt, the ridicule, is not just part of your story. It is what forged your resilience. The pain of being misunderstood wasn't a punishment. It was preparation. It separated the noise from the signal, the spectators from the supporters, and the temporary from the timeless. And now, you stand at a different place entirely. You no longer seek their permission to grow. You don't wait for applause before speaking. You've outgrown the need for approval, and that liberation is your true power. Let them regret. Let them revise the past in their minds if that brings them comfort. You do not need to correct the narrative. Your life is the evidence. Your elevation is the answer. And the path ahead is clear. Not because it is free of obstacles, but because your focus is no longer clouded by the need to be seen. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to rise above, quietly, steadily, unshakably. And while they may now seek your light, it is no longer your job to light the way for those who dimmed your spark. Your role now is to protect your vision, move with clarity, and walk with those who always believed, no proof required. The wisdom you carry isn't for everyone. And that's okay. It's not your burden to convince, it's your calling to live it. So, move forward. Not bitter, but better. Not loud, but focused. And not seeking recognition, but walking in purpose. Your rise isn't coming. It's already here. Chosen one, if this message resonated with your spirit, if you felt seen, understood, and empowered, then this space was created for you. You're not alone in your journey. There is a global community of individuals just like you, visionaries, truth-bearers, and silent warriors, who have walked through doubt, ridicule, and rejection only to rise stronger and more certain in their purpose. Now is the time to connect. Don't let your growth exist in isolation. Join a movement where your wisdom is not only welcomed but honored. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you never miss the insight that aligns with your journey. These messages are here to remind you of your strength, to speak to your soul, and to help you stay grounded in who you really are, especially when the world still doesn't understand you. Drop a comment below with, "I never needed their approval," if you're done waiting to be recognized by those who were never meant to see your light. Let your words be a signal to others walking this same path, a declaration that your time has come, and you're no longer playing small. Your vision is valid. Your wisdom is powerful. And your presence is no longer optional. The ones who once ignored your worth will soon realize they missed the chance of a lifetime. Stay focused. Stay grounded. And most importantly, keep rising.